we are live. Oh, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time it is where you're watching us from, right? Welcome to Adjusting Crowns and welcome to the community of Amity at La Tribu de Ella. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Leslie Gaudet. She is a mentor, she is a coach, she is an inspiration for me. She's really wise. I met Leslie recently throughout a group of women a community that I belong, and we've been able to have a few conversations, meeting each other and understanding that we kind of both have had a lot of journeys that are similar in our life. And I wanted to bring you into the show, into the podcast, and I wanted you to present yourself, tell us a little bit of what you do, and share with us your breakdown that became your breakthrough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Leslie Gaudet, and I am so excited to be here with Amity. Yes, we met in a community of women who support each other, and I'm really glad that we met. So, I'm a self care coach, and what I do is I work with female entrepreneurs, coaches, and course creators, and I help them prioritize self care to support them in their personal life, as well as support them in their professional lives, whether they're a team of one or a team of many. And I truly believe that when you have a wellness practice within your business, that you can thrive. And so, you know, I recognized that I needed that for me, but it really stemmed from something that happened a few years ago well, pretty much over a few years. But back in 2017, it was when I recognized that my life really was spiraling out of my control, meaning I was working a lot of hours. I've been working in the industry of law for several decades, and I loved what I did, or at least I felt I was good at what I did. And I really enjoyed the work that I did, but I didn't enjoy working all the time, being tired, exhausted, both emotionally and physically, mentally exhausted, feeling like I had a lot of clutter in my head and I couldn't think. And I wanted more for my life, but as I mentioned, I felt so much clutter in my mind that I could not even think about what I wanted to do with my life. I felt I was trapped in this life I was living, that there was no way out. I had no way to do something different, something that I would enjoy, because at that point, I didn't even know how, like what that would even look like. And I didn't even know that I had a tool at my fingertips that would help me do that because, again, I couldn't think. And it was around the middle of 2017 when I talked to my husband about what was going on with how I was feeling, because at that point I felt like we were just surviving. I was really in just survival mode. I did not thrive at all at that point in my life. And so my husband and I talked to him and I said, we talked about this before, about moving to Las Vegas. We were living in California at the time, and we'd been there just almost 3 years. And we had talked about Las Vegas, and I had said no, I wasn't interested, because at that point, I didn't even really know that there was more to Las Vegas than the Strip. I thought
Just the casinos.
casinos and nightlife and shows and gambling, and that wasn't what I wanted. Like, I didn't that's not to me, that was like moving from, chaos into more chaos is what I felt.
Mhm.
And so when I finally revisited it with him, we talked about it and we said, okay, I think that there's really more to it than what we have experienced. Even, we'd gone there on our 20-year anniversary of being married, and there was more to it. So we decided that we were going to make plans. We were going to plan for it. So we started planning for the early following year that we would revisit it again. And it happened so a few months later in March of 2018, when I had taken some vacation time from work, and I never even really told them about it, about how I was feeling.
Mhm.
Because, you think that if you admit something like that, that they're going to think you're not a dedicated employee. At least that's what I thought. So we took a trip to Las Vegas in March of 2018. We were on vacation, or I was on vacation rather. He was self-employed. And we looked around and we found a place outside of the actual action, if you will. And we found a place to live. So we rented an apartment. We rented a storage unit for some of our belongings because we wouldn't be able to take them with us into the apartment. And we had our new landlord set up. We set up all of our utilities and our internet to be ready for when we would go back in 2 weeks. And he helped us with it. And then I proceeded to go back to the office on Monday morning, and I told them that I was leaving within 2 weeks, that we were moving. And that was scary because I had no real plan other than the hope that they would take me up on my offer of, let's find something for me to do for you online. I know it's possible that I can still support you. I can do all of these things still, 90% really of what I do now.
And let me ask you something. That was something that you had in the back of your mind, but you had not asked or said to anybody at the job. That was something that was a hope that you had in your heart, a vision that you had, but you had not spoken it out to anybody, right?
That is correct. And so I went to the managing partner and I told him, having that conversation of, I'm leaving, but I really want to be able to support you. And I told him about what I could do. And he said, okay, he would think about it. And so, of course, I didn't just sit back and let that just be the last conversation that I had around it. So I went to some of the other senior associates in the office who he relied heavily on to, for guidance, advice, that they were really good at what they did. And I'd been supporting them for many months, in the work that I was doing. And I told them what my plan was, and they were immediately on board. So I gained allies in the office to support my
Because they
idea.
knew your worth. They knew the
Cor-
worth and the value that you were bringing to the company. So they didn't just want to lose you.
Correct. And so because of that, because I was able to get that support, we were then able to all have a meeting and figure it out. And since March of 2018, the end of March of 2018, I've been supporting them this way. So I work for them a few hours a day and I can create that space for me, which opened me up to do other things. The big key here is what I did was I took back something that I had felt like I was a slave to, and that was my time.
You
And
took your
that
power back.
I took back my power, I took back my time so that I could then start structuring my life. So I could start living my life because I had no quality of life. And so that was my break. That was my first breakdown. But it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the full breakthrough to what I'm doing now because I still had a journey to go on. And that was my self development journey, the self love, because I didn't like who I was. I certainly didn't love myself at all. My relationship with my husband was teetering very much on the edge of the slope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was because a lot of my way of interacting with him was always coming from what I call the wounded self. I was always emotionally coming to him with how I felt instead of being able to come to him and talk to him without the emotions leading the conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I went through that journey, what was really amazing was, first of all, I told my husband when we got to Las Vegas, I said, hang on tight because I am actually going to put myself out there to start meeting people because I need to be around people. So that the
Yeah.
first thing I did was I started meeting new people, putting myself out there, going to networking events, meeting a lot of different women who became good friends of mine. And then also from there, getting coached through some of the things that
Yes.
I didn't even realize I still needed to work through. I thought, oh, I've been there, done that. I'm a mature woman. I don't need to go back and revisit these things. But there's true power when you can revisit your past and really work through the stories of your life that they no longer are defining of your life, but are just a part of your journey. And
Yes.
because I did that, it was liberating. It was freeing.
Rewarding.
Mhm.
Yes, it's so true. That is medicine right there. That is medicine because a lot of times we avoid going into those dark places, into those shadows, into the beliefs, the limiting, the self sabotage. We're just like justifying the reason why it's been 3 months and I don't do what I said I was going to do. And the moment you even find the coaching, which was one of the greatest things that you said, this can be called a new modality, right? This can be called something different because after COVID, everything changed. And a lot of people went to work from home, and a lot of women were out of work for so long, and they realized that they were carrying this load, that it was so heavy, that it was self-sabotaging, that it was the breakdown. And then when we open our eyes to see, wait, I could do the same work, but I could just do it from home. I don't have to drive, I don't have to come, I don't have to settle to stay in this job, where I could probably be expanding in my business. It all comes down to finding help, where you could sit and talk and have these conversations, and you feel safe to say, I needed to understand that even my relationship was taking a toll because I was overworking. And I remember you sharing with me how many hours a day, and you and your husband didn't even have a conversation because the only time you were together, you would even talk about work.
Exactly. And when you think about too, one of the things that I found as I was going through my journey, which was, as I said, coaching for me was life saving. And it allowed me to have the aha moment of how I wanted to serve. Because at the point that I had the biggest breakthrough, which was through coaching with this coach who, in front of women, live coaching being recorded, I put my hand up and I said yes. I said yes to myself.
Yes.
And I didn't know it at the time, but I did. And that was so freeing. And it gave me that clarity around how I wanted to serve because I'd already stepped into coaching by that time,
Mm-hmm.
as a coach myself. Then, but what I found was as a new coach, I still went back to the mentality of I not only did I have no structure, first of all, I had structure in my corporate job because I knew what my hours were. When I stepped outside of that and became my own boss in that area, I kind of understood how many hours I wanted to work with them. So that was set. But then when it came to my own business as being a coach, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, I had to tell myself, well, these are the hours you work. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to structure your days. This is how you're going to structure your week. This is how you're going to structure your business. But I had absolutely no clue. So I went right back to not only working long hours again, but then my husband was saying, when I was saying to my husband, I want to spend more time with you. He said, well, how can we spend more time when you're always sitting in front of your laptop? When you're always sitting and you're doing something, and I don't know whether or not it's okay to come and talk to you about what you're doing. Can I
Yeah.
have a conversation with you? Can I approach you?
Yeah.
So I fell into the trap again of being a slave to my time. I'd taken it back, but then that breakthrough allowed me that flexibility of my time. But then I went right back to being a slave of it again until finally, after 2 years of my business, of doing that, of being all over the place, especially too, that I decided I didn't want that life anymore. And I started to take back control of my days and what I do.
Yes. That is so important, and I am glad that you brought us to this subject, because a lot of times we have been so conditioned by the system, and it's something that I continuously teach, and you're going to always hear me say, to run the rat race, to run the 60-40 hours a week, to have the baseball team, to have all these tasks and chores and lists of things that you should do, that you have to do. But at the end of the day, we're not really stopping and taking our time and our power back, like you say, and sit a minute and go, wait a second. Am I over scheduling what I'm doing? Am I going back to the system that tells me I have to do things instead of being who I really am, and things come easy to me when I am who I'm supposed to be? People see you and be like, I like Leslie. I want to work with Leslie. You don't have to be hustling, 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 hustling.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I wanted quality of life. I truly did. I think anyone who gets into business for themselves doesn't get into business saying, I want to work longer hours. I want to work harder. I don't want a life. You get into business for yourself because you want more quality of life. You want to be able to, for me at least, I wanted to have a bigger impact. I wanted to be able to help other women know that, there's more to life than just the hustle and grind. I wanted there to be that quality of life, and even going so far as relationships. I wanted their relationships to be empowered, to have deeper bonds with their families,
Uh-huh.
and but also loving themselves and learning to put themselves first. I truly believe that when a lot of women I've talked to think that self-care is a very selfish act, but because of the word self. But self-care is really actually the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to the people in your life, because when you do take care of yourself the best you can, you're giving the best of you to yourself and to everyone else in your life, because you are taking care of you. And I learned that.
With that said, I'm going to piggyback a little bit with that, and I'm going to share something with you. In the Latino American community, moms feel very prideful when they say, I'm a mother first. And for many years, we've been judged if you're too much of a woman first than being a mom. It's a belief system, one of those self sabotaging belief systems we carry. And for many years, I have always said, there's no way you could be a better mom if you don't know how to be a better woman first. You have to know how to love yourself and take care of yourself first as a woman for you to be able to even love somebody else. Because if you don't have that time for you to be silent, to listen, to go walk outside, we're just doing. And scientifically, physically, it takes a toll in our cortisol levels in our bodies and in our nervous system to the point that these belief systems make us sick, but it's okay to take care of us. How do you do the self care?
So, and I get that because I have a lot of friends who are from different, communities, whether they're Greek, Italian, they're Portuguese, Spanish. And I understand that there's those cultural
Believe.
expectations, if
Yes.
you will. So for me, I self-care is individual. I want to put that out there so that everyone doesn't feel like they have to be the same as everyone else. I'm not a mom, so I didn't have children to, for the last 27 years of being married, we didn't have children. We decided we weren't going to have children, and that was okay because of the lifestyle we chose.
And that's your decision. And you're
Correct.
happy with that.
I'm happy with that. And so my self-care might look different the way I start my days. I always feel like at least if even if you don't have a lot of time in the day in the morning to have something to start your day on a win, whether that's having that prayer and meditation moment to start your day to on a win, and then throughout the day doing little things for yourself through the nice little things like the taking of breaks, going for walks and listening to podcasts or music or dancing, going out in your garden like you do, gardening. All of those things are beautiful self-care moments. Maybe spending time with your family, maybe taking, fur babies for a walk. Those are beautiful things, but also the self-care parts of making sure that if you are working, you're taking those breaks to allow your brain to reset, recharge, and rejuvenate. So you come back with more energy and focus, to taking, making learn sure that you learn to say no so you can say yes to the right things and not overwhelm your calendar, asking for help when you need it and delegating if you can. And then also having that hard stop to your day. Like, so you're not always working. Don't work till like the wee hours of the morning and then find yourself not being able to sleep
Yes.
and
Yes.
sleep well because especially if you don't have a hard if you have a hard stop at say 9 p.m. and then you want to go directly to bed, your brain is saying, wait a second, I was just fed, so I need to digest, so I can't let you go to sleep right now because I have to go through everything that you gave me in order to be able to wind down. And
Yes.
that's why I think having a hard stop is important. For
Yes.
me, how I start my self-care mornings is through prayer and meditation. I also, I'm very, very much spiritual. So I also am learning about, the word. So I'm going through the word and seeing how I can apply it to my life. I look to God as my GPS. I believe that He can help me through all of the ups and downs and the obstacles, and give me advice on what's good for me to keep me on the right track. And then I might go for a walk and I'll listen to a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts, or I might listen to some music and get up and dance around. Whatever that looks like, it depends on how much time I have in the morning, however I decide to structure my day. Then I'll do a little bit of work for the law firm, and then I'll take some time for me to do other things like this live with you, or other things that light me up, working with clients, you know running workshops, different things like that. How I structure my day now is based on first me having a win in the morning by taking care of me, and then of course sprinkling all those essential self-care throughout the day. But that hard stop for me at the end of my day is one of the reasons why I have that is usually between 6 and 7. If there's nothing between 6 and 7, a hard stop is 6, which means no phone, no laptop, no messages, emails, text messages, nothing, client calls, no meetings. And I'm spending time with my husband
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, we've been married, like I said, over 27 years. It has not been all sunshine and roses. But if I didn't take time to nurture my relationship,
Exactly.
then we wouldn't be, on this path that we are together, because
Mm-hmm.
we have that communication, because we make time for each other.
Yes.
So that's how I do my self-care. But how you do self-care might be different. If you're a mom and you have little ones and you have to get them off to school in the morning, maybe your win is getting up a half an hour early to actually just take a moment to sit and drink your coffee by yourself and
Yes.
meditate on the moment and just relax, whether it's outside in your garden, whether it's in your sunroom, whatever that looks like. But you're starting your day with a win. From there, it's whatever lights you up. That's why I created a guide. I created a free self-care guide to give ideas of around how self-care could look for you, so you could pick from it and try it. And again, the other thing too, which I want to point out, is it doesn't have to be the same every day, and it
Exactly.
doesn't have to stay the same all the time. You can change it up as long as you're filling your cup.
And we don't have to strive for perfection, because I think this was a subject that I spoke with somebody within the last past 36 hours, where just do it. Just do it, because a lot of times we think we have to have everything perfect, the perfect time, the perfect schedule, the perfect calendar, the perfect agenda, the perfect notebook to start. And really, what we just need to do is make the decision that we're going to start, and from that moment forward, when we go through this breakdown that becomes a breakthrough, it helps us fix our relationship with our work schedule, fix our relationship with our partners, our husbands, our kids, our family members, our friends. You even made time. You said, I went and got new friends when I moved, because I know I needed to step out of the box. And when they said, hey, who wants to participate doing this and doing the coaching, like, here I am, I'll do it. I'm ready to serve. Plus, you
Mhm.
also said something that I was telling my husband last night, is that Sunday during breakfast, I told him, your intuition, for the people that call it that, or for the people that call it your Holy Spirit, the people that call it God, it's like a thermostat inside of your heart. It's like a guide in your soul, and it tells you, this belongs to you, this is for me, how can I apply this in my life, how this is this not for me. And you use that discernment that you have to make the decisions as a woman and as a wife, when it's time to stop, hard stop, and say, social media off, TV off, everything off. It's time to be present in the life of my husband, because that's the reason why we're together. That's the reason why we're here, not just to be like robots.
Yeah, and we weren't born to go through life alone. When you are young, you're looking for, it almost feels like you're looking for the one person that you want to spend your life with. And so when you say that you want to spend your life with, that means your entire span of your life. So, thinking about, for example, I know someone, a friend of mine, her oldest sister, who I'm still friendly with as well, when I guess I was maybe around 17, 18 years old, and she got married, and they're still married all these years later, you know? And I think that's incredible. And it's because they knew that it was a lifetime, but they were willing to work on it. Now, some people only, and we've talked about this before, some people only look at the wedding, the getting married up to the wedding day and the honeymoon, but
Come
they
on.
forget about, the life story afterwards. You have to be able to go into it knowing that it's going to be a commitment, and you have to, if you want this relationship to work, that you want them to be your life partner, then you have to be able to work on it and nurture your relationship, keep the communication open. And that's the only way it's going to grow. You have, so that you're growing together. Because if that's where I think a lot of people grow apart, because they forget we still have to talk. We still have to talk about our goals and our dreams and our values. Do they still align, what we want with our lives? Not going separate ways. It's not just all about the children, if you will. Yes, the kids are
Yeah.
important, but make sure that the husband and the wife, if you're still together, that you're nurturing that relationship, because one, you are keeping that relationship alive for when the children are gone and going into their own lives, but you're also modeling for them what it looks like to have a relationship that's strong, so that they cultivate that for themselves and they pass that down to their children if they have children. So it's really important to me about around self-care. Really is, it really, part of it is the relationship aspect of it, nurturing those bonds. That is a self-care moment. As a mom, you when you're cooking for your family, you're not just saying, okay, I'm just going to throw this together and this, and it's like, here, eat it.
Oh
That's
my God,
not,
I'm glad you said that.
that's not you're and most moms that I know, that's not who they are. It's, okay, what can I make for the family? You want them to enjoy what they're eating. You want to enjoy what you're eating. That could be a moment for bonding where you're sitting at the dinner table, hopefully, and you're creating that connection where you're talking about your day. How was your day? What's going on with your life? What are your hopes, your dreams? And creating this lifestyle, if you will, this mindset around the dinner table, or however it is that you get together with your family, and you creating that, so that becomes a like your legacy, if you
Yeah,
will, that you're passing down to your
yeah.
kids, who pass down to their kids, who pass down to their kids, and so on.
That's where you talk about the values. That's where you talk about loving. That's where you talk about the planning. What are we doing? What are we doing for Christmas? Or what are we doing for the next family special day? Because we don't necessarily have to celebrate the holy days that the world celebrates. We can have our own family culture, traditions in our own family. And piggyback at what you just said, Leslie, a lot of people that are listening to this, a lot of people that are going to listen to the podcast, and a lot of people that are listening in Facebook while we record this live know me because many years I've shared my personal journey about not being in love with cooking and food. And for a season of my life, while I was doing the overworking and the underpaid and the workaholic season, and I wasn't seeing myself and I was in the fight and flight mode, I used to cook with bitterness. And part of my healing journey is that I remember that my kids wouldn't eat the food, and then I was more bitter because I was cooking, because I was working two jobs. I was being in my masculine and being the man of the house and being in charge and telling my husband what to do and how to do it because I was in fight and flight mode. Like, my trauma was really active, but I was so blinded. And that's one of the reasons why I also got my coaches and my mentors. And that was the reason why I got help for my kids and my family, because I was always aware that I came from a family that had a lot of trauma. It wasn't hidden trauma, it was very visible trauma. And I knew I needed to go through the journey of healing. And one of the things that one of my coach showed me was the reason why your kids are not eating your food is because you're cooking bitter. And I
Wow.
had to start cooking with love. And even now, like for me in the house, I cook when I want. I cook when I feel the love of being in that self care, motherly woman, feminine energy, that I could come into my kitchen and I take out, or I get my peppers from the garden. And that's even one of the reasons why I garden, because I garden and I take care of my plants and they give me the peppers and I eat them with love. It has been part of my self-care. Like you said, you go out to the garden to do grounding, because I needed to heal from all these breakdowns that we keep having and we don't even talk. And I'm so glad that you took your power back and you have been able to speak up and you've been able to use your voice to say, I deserve better. I deserve more time in my schedule. I deserve more time in my calendar to drink that cup of coffee, to take care of me, to spend with my husband, and to have that stop time where I'm like, okay, from this moment forward, I'm not going to be connected to any social media, any electronics, and I'm going to be present in the life of my family and my friends, which a lot of times we forget. I'm so grateful for your knowledge and your wisdom and your understanding, because you definitely speak from a place of love. You definitely speak from a place of your own experience, which is not the same when I'm trying to sell you something because I'm trying to convince you, versus when I've been there, done that, bought the teacher, and the reason why I'm sitting here talking about why it's important to have a coach and why it's important to start rewriting the story of our lives, because a lot of times we settle for cooking with bitterness and we don't fix our relationship with food, and we're not eating for self-care, because food is also nourishing our bodies as women, especially as women, because men, yeah, whatever, but as women we have so many hormones and so many departments in our head that we really need this time. If you were to give an advice to the women that are watching us, what would you tell them about this journey of becoming the best version of you through your breakdown that became your breakthrough?
Yeah, so I think for me, what I would say is it's really super easy to fall into the trap believing that because you're a mom, that your children come first, or your spouse comes first if you're a wife, or your parents come first if you're caregiving to them. But you can't be the best caregiver, you can't be the best wife, you can't be the best mom if that's your will. You can't be the best for yourself if you don't take time to take care of you in all aspects, your body, again, through how you eat, especially if you work and you have a business and you have a team perhaps, but you have a business and you're building it or you're scaling it or you're growing it, however that is, you work in a business, you want to make sure that first of all, with your body, if you're working on things, you want to have that energy. So you want to take care of yourself the way you eat. You want to inspire your team members to actually be healthy as well. I'm not saying you can't have the hamburgers and fries, the pizza, the sweets,
The ice
but
cream.
when you're working on something, especially that needs your attention full on, it's going to be a lot easier. You're going to have more energy if you eat for energy, you eat healthy, than if you eat foods that are meant for comfort, because they're
Yeah.
just going to make you want to like go and sit on the couch maybe and just, do nothing. And that's in the word comfort. That's why
Comfort
it's
food.
comfort
Exactly.
food. When it comes to your mind, when it comes to your mindset, the emotional piece of it is one of the things I think a lot of people, especially women, get they feel like they are being told that they're emotional, they're too emotional. And I want you to know that emotions are beautiful. It's okay to have your emotions. It's okay to process your emotions. It's just not healthy to live in your emotions. So finding a way to just work through, like especially if something happens, be okay to explore why you feel the way you do. What happened? What was said? What was done? How did you feel? What were you thinking? Explore all of that. And one of the things I can tell you for certain is how you respond to things today, you'll find the clues from your past. That's where all the answers are. So if you are not sure how to do that, you can, ask Amity to help you
Mm-hmm.
or myself. We can take you
Mm-hmm.
back through the journey of getting to know who you were
Mm-hmm.
that brought you to who you are today and how you process your emotions, and you'll be able to like say, oh, this is how it was, because I can say from personal experience, one of the things was that was a trigger for me was when someone would mention my weight. And because I grew up yo-yo dieting, when I was younger I was a model, and skinny, what I felt was it was the industry standard, and it was unhealthy. And so when anyone would say anything about my weight, whether I was too skinny or whether I looked healthy, I automatically had a reaction that there was something wrong with me. And I would do things to hurt myself, to harm myself, days without eating, to starving myself of calories, maybe 600, no more than 900 calories a day, which wasn't healthy. And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to like look at how we emotionally process things, the clues are in the past. When it comes to spiritually, now for me it's God, for you it might be the universe, for it might be the higher self, but it's having something bigger to believe in than
Mm-hmm.
yourself can give you
Yeah.
that motivation to show up daily, to go out
Mm-hmm.
into the world and figure out what it is that you want to do with your life and to live from that place.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the number one thing though really is when you take care of yourself first, then you can be the best for yourself. And I don't mean the best to be perfect. I'm saying to be the best of yourself, the way you show up for yourself, the way you treat yourself, the way you speak to yourself inside your mind where no one else is living with you. the way you treat yourself, even with other people that, you might not be respectful. When you take care of you and you take care of yourself the best you can, you do get the best of you. You
Yes.
get the best of you and you show up that way for everyone else and everything else in your life. So that would be my advice.
That is beautiful, Leslie. I am so grateful. I am so honored to just be able to be here sitting and listening to your knowledge, because it's medicine for a lot of women that sometimes don't even have the opportunity to sit with a coach and have this conversation. And the fact that we've been able to open this door, this window, this timing in this season to give women the information that they need, and for them to understand that you went through this journey, I went through this journey, and there's so many other women out there awakening and saying, you know what, I'm going to work and be in the best version of me, because I don't want to continue doing the same thing and expecting different results. I think that's the definition of insanity. Something really needs to give. And the only thing I'm able to control is my body, my tempo, my faith, my belief, my thermostat, and let everybody deal with their own things and respect their spaces and their timing, because some people are not ready. Some people don't understand. Some people are still trying to figure things out in a different level, and we're just bringing the information. And I want to say thank you to you for your time. Thank you for taking the time to come and pour over my community and over my people that are listening, and they're able to identify that it's not just one or two women, but there are so many of us that are here standing, offering you the services. If you want to get in touch with Leslie Gaudet, her name, her coaching, her logo is everything here, because sometimes technology works in people's favor, right, Leslie? We always look at the positive of what things happen. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate if you have any comments, any questions, don't forget to mention, like, share, comment. If you want more information, keep coming back to this podcast. It's called Adjusting Crowns, because there's so many women that are carrying their crowns sideways and they just need a little adjustment. And stories like yours, like mine, and so many more that are coming each week to this podcast to be able to enlighten them, encourage them, and bring some awareness. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And have a good afternoon, everybody.
Bye, everyone.